¿A dónde está papi? 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 ¿A dónde está papi?
Welcome to the Wednesday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Wednesday. How's it going? Cosmic Seeking, Echo Resto Dragon, welcome everybody. Cool, dark, wet London. Typical London, I suspect. It is 35 here, and we have snow. Says supposed to be a low of 11 tonight. Although I will take the snow for the snowpack. Sheesh. The lows for today are not going to be that cold here. Currently, it's about 69. Alio with the 10 biddies. Thank you so much, kicking it off. 10 biddies. Tonight is going to be a little bit of a shorter stream. I am feeling much better than yesterday, that's for sure. So it looks like we're turning the corner on this cold. All right, so we might as well get this started. Shoot. Ah, okay. Well, that is good news. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Good news indeed. How much does gas cost? It depends on where you are. Why don't you look it up? Good news is in short supply these days. That's true. That is very true. Can you guys hear me okay? Can you guys hear me okay? And is the audio and video sync okay? That's the only thing that matters. Is it good enough, and is the audio and video sync okay? Yes, okay. That works for me. The good news is that Kiev has been bombed for a week now, so you like civilians being bombed? Is that it? You like war? You like war? The music is a touch high. Okay, we can lower that. It's not a big deal. We can do that. I Dan Simpson with a party of 27. Oh, so you're a Nazi. Here, this is what we do to Nazis, all right? Now that I Dan is coming in. This is what we do to Nazis. Fuck off. Hey, homie, have a good stream. Thank you so much for the raid. I appreciate that. Folks, if you guys have a moment, make sure you follow twitch.tv/iDanSinson. Give a quick shout out, folks, if you haven't already. Make sure you go show some support. Sorry for the slightly low energy, but I appreciate you joining us. Peace. Thank you. Appreciate that. You've joined Twitch 4 days ago. Wow, yeah, I know. Starting off bright and early with the trolls today. Right as iDan Simpson was coming in. It happens. It's okay. It's okay. It happens. There we go. Hopefully the music is a little bit lowered. But anyways, yeah, zero tolerance for that nonsense. Zero tolerance for that. Well, that was quick. Folks, if you don't know who I am a Difficult Truth. I do the news. I do the politics Monday through Thursday. For those of you that are coming in from the raid, Monday through Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you guys want some news and some politics and some chill vibes, this is the place. If you haven't already, and you're just coming in because of the silly pre-roll ads, if you haven't already, or if you're just coming in, make sure you give some support to twitch.tv/iDanSinson, who has decided to leave their wonderful community here. I appreciate the raid. Thank you so much. Blocked and reported. Nice. Oof. Never fails. Never fails. I wonder if these trolls are ever gonna learn that they have no power here. iDan is leaving. I assume so. He said have a good stream. I assume they just they rated and said have a good stream. That's good enough for me. I appreciate that. I understand that sometimes you gotta kind of, skedaddle real quick. Off air then? Wait, what? What do you mean? What do you mean off air? Like, is iDan Simpson done streaming? Yes. If that's what you mean. That's why you're here now. The trolls do help viewing numbers. Oh no, I don't think they're leaving the platform. No, I don't. No, not to my knowledge. I think they would have posted something. No, no, I don't think they're leaving the platform. No, not to my knowledge. No, the trolls do help. If they're entertaining, they do help with viewing numbers. But yeah, no, there's a line. If you're gonna come in here and just say like that you're a Nazi and whatnot, then you're just out easily. I just got the tail end of the broadcast. Oh, okay, gotcha. Dan is not leaving the platform. I'm one of his mods. Okay, there we go. There we go. There's your definitive answer from from one of the mods themselves. There you go. Easy peasy. But yeah, if iDan Simpson was gonna move from Twitch, I would assume there'd be some kind of announcement somewhere. I'm just assuming. Thank you for the clarification. All right, let's get this started. We'll see how much headlines we can go through. First, I want to say, thank you to Cheeseburger Freedom Eagle, also known as Garlic Artist Fartist on Twitter. They made not only the logo or the, I guess, profile picture that you see here, that you see on Twitch and that you see on Twitter, but they've also made this cute little emote to sort of capture the likeness of Bakita with this kind of meme together. And I do believe I'm going to end up using this as one of the emote slots that we have. Press rewind and listen. What? On Twitch? Yeah. Can you learn the in and outs of Twitch in 1 year? No. I've been on Twitch.tv since August of 2020, present, and I stream too. It is very cute, is it not? It does kind of capture the likeness of Bakita the cat, and it also captures the essence of the meme too. So I think that was fantastic. No, I mean, it takes a long time for you to get used to the ins and outs of platforms in general. Sorry about that. About you know, the ins and outs of platforms in general, but you know. So I'm gonna definitely use this as one of the emote slots for sure. All right, so I guess we should start with content warning. Ben Shapiro. I was once new to Twitch. I felt like such a noob. Don't worry, you'll learn the ropes soon enough. Oh yeah, oh yeah. So I guess content warning. Ben Shapiro. I haven't done one of these in a minute. I'm torn between Washington is afraid of Musk or the DHS thinks that you are dangerous. I'm torn. Which one should I break apart? The DHS one. Okay, we'll do that one. George Washington couldn't tell a lie, and Richard Nixon couldn't tell the truth. Donald Trump can't tell the difference. No, I think he can. I think he can, and he knows what he's doing. All the lies that he perpetuates and does, he absolutely knows. He's absolutely aware. Do not underestimate that. Do not underestimate that person. I mean, like, a gleaning example, a perfect example, I should say, is we did a story last week or the week before that a judge, released information, released emails or some type of, back and forth contact where Trump knows that the voter fraud claims are incredibly exaggerated, and yet he still perpetuated that lie. So he knows. He knows. All right, let's do it.
Georgia Power has invested nearly 10.
Oh no. Yep. Unfortunately, here we are. Oh, the Epoch Times.
It was a big deal how you separated the recyclables. Remember when you were a kid? It was a big deal how you separated the recyclables from the garbage. This is a big deal. They would teach it to you in third grade, in second grade, in first grade. You would come to school and you'd brag to your teacher how you'd taken all the plastic bottles and you'd put them in one container, and you'd taken all the trash and you'd put it in the other container because recycling was how we were going to save the world. Well, now there is a report out from the Boston Globe that plastic recycling is a myth. This study...
No shit. Thanks, Ben. Because of large corporations. Yeah. Okay. What's the point? What is this? This is the DHS. What does this have to do with the DHS?
Comes courtesy of Greenpeace. Quote, of the 51 million tons of plastic waste U.S. households generated in 2021, just 2.4 million tons, or 5%, was recycled, according to new research.
Yes.
Because, of course, it turns out that the vast majority of plastic you can't separate out from the other garbage. When plastic is burning...
Yes, and furthermore, it was a big greenwashing campaign by these large corporations. They never actually intended to do any of that. Is this about the new censorship thing? I don't even know what he's talking about right now. I guess we'll find out. Maybe.
In garbage incinerators, it produces even more planet-heating pollution. Studies show that even discarded plastic gives off methane and other powerful greenhouse gases. The simple fact is that there was no good way to actually recycle this stuff. Research has long shown that most recycling facilities do not accept 5 of the 7 classifications.
Yeah, the Department
of, plastic,
of Homeland Security.
Plastic.
I'm still waiting for him to get to that point. I don't know what he's talking about.
Foam and PVC because they're particularly difficult to sort and are often contaminated with toxins. But the new report shows that even the 2 most common plastics that have long been considered recyclable
a real big maybe.
Are only reprocessed 21% and 10% of the time, according to the report. For all the other types of plastic...
Ben, this isn't new, okay? I've covered this before. Like, is he like pretending that he just discovered some new like information? This has been well known. We're a minute in, Ben. We've got 11 more minutes, plus minus your shill at the end to get to the point.
Plastic, the reprocessing rate is even lower at less than 5% according to the authors. Now, why are we talking about recycling? The answer is because for literally my entire lifetime, from the time I was a child until now, if you had gone out there and you had said, recycling plastic is a giant waste of time, it is a giant waste of resources, this was seen as fringe. It might have been seen as misinformation because this is the way our informational ecosystem works.
Okay, but who perpetuated these myths? Okay? Who perpetuated these myths? They were large corporations. All right? This is a myth that was perpetuated by large corporations. That's how we got there. Okay?
Very often, there are these myths that are created on behalf of left-wing interests.
No, not at all. This has nothing to do with left-wing interest. Oh my god. No, this has nothing to do with left-wing interests. Left-wing interests aren't selling you a lie to for the sake of protecting corporations. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense at all. It's the left who is telling people that these large corporations are greenwashing and have been for decades. This has nothing to do with left-wing nothing. This was large corporations.
And these become the prevailing narrative. And this narrative can never be crossed. We saw this with COVID, where vaccines were told that...
This has nothing to do with recycling. What does this have to do with recycling?
If you had to take a vax in order to stop your best friend or your grandma from getting COVID. When it came to masks, masking children in the classroom was necessary in order to keep them safe. If you said anything differently, then you might be quashed on social media for misinformation. If you suggested that Black Lives Matter was predicated on a lie, the lie being that the police are systemically rounding up black people for no apparent reason, rather than simply targeting criminality, and it turns...
That's not true. You can demonstrate these disproportionate outcomes. There are plenty of studies to point to the racial aspect to policing. It's not good. You can find these studies, Ben. You know that, right? You can spend some time researching like policing and like how they disproportionately affect like minority communities. This isn't like new either, Ben. And again, what does this have to do with recycling? And furthermore, this video is titled "The DHS Thinks You Are Dangerous." What does this have to do with the DHS? He shaved the chin pubes. Yes. Oh man, I think people I'm getting a scam call. Should I answer this scam call? Me. The Flashpoint, OAN and Shapiro, their only political points matter. Yeah, well, they're just trying to hide the ball as much as humanly possible with a bunch of garbage on top of it, to the point where you just confuse the actual issue at hand, but make your audience come away with some type of feel, which is the only thing that matters, is how your audience feels at the end of this video, because that's how conservative propaganda works. And this is no different. We're 2 minutes in and we still haven't gotten to the point. We're talking about Black Lives Matter, the vaccines, and recycling. It might have been that Nigerian prince we've been waiting for. True, I should have answered.
Turns out that criminality in the United States, especially violent criminality, is disproportionately minority. That if you pointed that out, there was a good shot that you were going to be silenced on social media or throttled on social media. If you said that a man could not be a woman and a woman could not be a man, you might end up like the Babylon Bee and you might end up banned from Twitter. Now, the reason I bring all of this up is because some of us were saying, this does not look like the simple free market at work. This looks a lot more like governmental actors acting in collusion with the government in order to promote preferred narratives.
Governmental actors colluding with the government. Yeah, no shit. Wait, what are you talking about, dude? Makes sense.
That sure, there are left-wing heads of places like Twitter or Facebook, Jack Dorsey's.
Wait, what left-wing heads are at the top of billion-dollar corporations? What left-wing heads are at the top of yes, known hyper-capitalists, known left-wingers, a bunch of hyper-capitalists who are a bunch of billionaires. Yeah, it all makes sense, Ben. It all makes sense. The Babylon Bee is back on Twitter. That's funny. That's funny. That point didn't even land. If the Babylon Bee is still on Twitter, that point didn't even land. Again, it's just to come away at the end of the video with some type of feel. Here, the Babylon Bee is still on Twitter, Ben.
To the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world. But if you look at how they originally articulated their visions for their companies, they suggested that these big social media companies were designed to be free speech platforms. These were places where also...
I don't think so. I think they're companies that were designed to make profit. That's the point. You're literally one of the largest top 10 people on Facebook and other social media consistently, Ben Shapiro. Oh, they may have been temporarily suspended.
Speech was going to...
I'm shadow banned on YouTube. So what then? Ben?
thrive. 1,000 flowers were going to bloom. Sure, there would be limits. If you were like an open Nazi advocating for genocide, they would ban you. But if you were just somebody who questioned, say, recycling plastic, or if you were somebody who said, perhaps BLM's narrative is wrong, or...
So, like, all of these are just completely unattached to each other. I've never seen anybody get banned because they said that recycling is a myth. I've said that after citing the studies that prove it. What's your point? What? Okay.
Or if you were somebody who said that men are men and women are women, and that you can't become a woman if you are a man. If you said that sort of stuff, you would not be quashed. If you read everything that Mark Zuckerberg said until about 2018, this is what he said, pretty openly. Jack Dorsey, same thing until about 2017. And then something changed. Then suddenly all the social media sites, in unison, started working with each other, colluding, in order to silence certain accounts. And so you'd see every single major social media site simply ban the president of the United States.
So he's basically trying to make this social media has conservative bias argument, which has been repeatedly debunked. There is no anti-conservative bias on social media. There is we need to make sure that this platform is as advertiser friendly as possible, and conservatives just can't follow TOS. So yeah, it makes it makes sense. But at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is what they're presenting in numbers to their shareholders. Okay, the number of profit line must go up. That is the only thing. They don't care about free speech. They don't care about platforms or what. It doesn't matter to them. It doesn't matter to them. The only thing that these companies look at is the line going up? And if it is, that's a good thing. If it's not, it's a bad thing. And if you make line go down, and you're causing advertisers to leave the platform, that's a problem for them. Right, it's a private business. Isn't that a good thing? Right, it's just capitalism. I don't know what Ben's complaining about. This is literally just businesses doing business. Like, they're literally just doing a capitalism, and then Ben's complaining about it.
It's uncoordinated queue after January 6th. Or you would see even people that I don't like, people like Alex Jones, who I think is despicable in very many ways. You'd see people like Alex Jones, suddenly, bam, he was gone. Just disappeared. Just unpersoned from all of social media at the drop of a hat.
But it wasn't because of January 6th, dude. Alex Jones was banned a while ago for other reasons. Because, again, he is not good for business. It doesn't look good. It doesn't attract advertisers. People got mad. The whole reason all these adpocalypse happens is because, these, alt-right channels, where there was advertising on these alt-right channels and people got pissed. he accidentally stumbling into the right point.
Not because of any specified sin, but because there was collusion in order to just get rid of him. So did that look as though that was the
It's not just to get rid of him. It's for business, Ben.
normal corporate competition at work? It did not. And the simple fact is that we have known for a very long time that these social media sites have been throttling particularly conservative opinion makers.
No evidence for that whatsoever. In fact, if you look at like the most successful like alt media that exists in social media, conservative media is consistently at the top. It's just not a thing. What Ben is proposing here is just an outright lie. If you look at all the numbers, like at the actual numbers of who does well and who is at the top of the algorithm, who has the most subscribers, who has the most viewers, who have the biggest channels, all these conservative alt media platforms are huge. So yeah, there's no such thing. And like, how do you explain like massive left-wing channels also getting smacked, like with strikes, like me, hello, and being shadow banned as well, like.
Now, I can tell you on a personal level. Now, listen, I have 4.7 million followers on Twitter.
Right. How many big leftist YouTubers do we have? Not many. Not really. Not many at all. It's not even close. Like, conservative alt media is huge, is massive, and Ben Shapiro is one of those massive heads. So I don't know what he's complaining about.
4 days ago, I had less than 4.5 million followers on Twitter. And then Elon Musk took over Twitter, and suddenly my follower count shot through the roof. And you can see it in my engagement as well.
Okay, well, causation is not, like, correlation does not equal causation. Because Elon Musk took over Twitter does not mean that was what caused your follower count to skyrocket, my friend. It might have just been a simple coincidence. You're a huge figure, my dude. Numbers roll up and down. You know? Even like me with a small channel, I'll have like 2,031 followers right now, and I'll wake up to like 10 less, and then I'll wake up to 10 more, and then like, I don't know, it'll go up and down. Thanks for the hospitality, Rock On. I appreciate that. You're welcome to hang out.
Facebook very often changes its algorithm, and those algorithmic changes benefit legacy media at the expense of startup media.
Why, Ben? Why do you think that happened? Or happens, or is happening, Ben? Because it's more brand safe. That's it. Spread it forward. How's it going? You and I both know that Ben and other conservatives consider CNN and MSNBC and other MSM liberal outlets as leftist outlets. It's a conservative trick to keep the Overton window radically right. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a very good point. And it's like, we haven't even gotten to that part yet. I'm just disputing this idea that like these large social media platforms have some kind of like slant, some sort of slant against the right, when that's not really true. Clearly, like these channels are dominating the algorithm, and clearly, again, as we said earlier, I don't think that you can honestly say that people like Jack Dorsey and Mark Zuckerberg are like left-wing, like these hyper-capitalist multi-billionaires. Not even close, my friend. Not even close.
Yeah. Well, now, as it turns out, the DHS was in fact coordinating with social media in order to quash particular types of stories. This was most obvious, of course, when it came to the Hunter Biden laptop fiasco right before the 2020 election.
Right, which, again, this is a misleading? That is misleading. There was a contact between the FBI and some of the social media saying that, hey, we're just letting you know that some of this is BS. They didn't threaten to do anything. We can have that chat about big tech not discussing their algorithm, but that's not going to end the way Ben wants. True.
It became clear that the FBI was actively coordinating with social media sites in order to quash that story.
No, not actively coordinating. That's a huge difference. That is a massive difference, my friend. You'd have to prove how the FBI was actually coordinating with these social media companies.
Mark Zuckerberg openly admitted that. He said
That's
the
not
FBI
what
was
he
calling
said.
us and they were telling us about the possibility of Russian disinformation.
Right, that's not the same as a full-on cooperation between these two entities.
On the laptop story, and so we decided, best practice, we'll just quash the thing. Well, now, according to The Intercept, which is a left-wing source, Ken Klippenstein, a left-winger, and Li Fang reporting, quote, the Department of Homeland Security is quietly broadening its efforts to curb speech it considers dangerous. An investigation by The Intercept has found. Years of internal DHS memos, emails, and documents obtained via leaks and an ongoing lawsuit, as well as public documents, illustrate an expansive effort by the agency to influence tech platforms. The work, much of which remains unknown to the American public, came into clearer view earlier this year when DHS announced a new Disinformation Governance Board. Remember that we talked about this Disinformation Governance Board. It was run by the crazy lady who was singing Mary Poppins tunes about misinformation and disinformation. The Disinformation Governance Board was a panel designed to police misinformation, false information spread unintentionally, disinformation, false information spread intentionally, and malinformation, factual information shared typically out of context with harmful intent that allegedly threatened U.S. interests. While the board was widely ridiculed, immediately scaled back, and then shut down within a few months, other initiatives are underway as DHS pivots to monitoring social media now that its original mandate, the war on terror, has been wound down. Behind closed doors, says The Intercept, and through pressure on private platforms, the U.S. government has used its power to try to shape online discourse. According to meeting minutes and other records appended to a lawsuit filed by Missouri Attorney General Eric Schmidt, a Republican who's also running for Senate, discussions have ranged from the scale and scope of government intervention in online discourse to the mechanics of streamlining takedown requests for false or intentionally misleading information. Microsoft executive Matt Masterson, former DHS official, texted Jen Easterly, a DHS director, in February, quote, platforms have got to get comfortable with government. It's really interesting how hesitant they remain. And the idea is that they're supposed to be working hand in glove together. Now, this is not what is supposed to be happening in the free speech realm.
So what's the point here? That government has been attempting to influence this? Okay. Have they successfully been integrated between government and these private entities? What are you trying to tell me, Ben?
Once private corporations become tools of the government, the First Amendment is implicated. There are a lot of people on the left who have said, well, you don't like the way that Facebook polices misinformation. Build your own Facebook. You don't like the way that Twitter polices its information. Well, build your own Twitter. And then, of course, immediately, once Parler starts, then the first thing that happens is that after January 6th, all of its server space is denied to Parler. It's essentially deplatformed. But it's worse than this. And when it comes to the government actively colluding with private institutions in order to quash speech,
Does he upload at 2x speed? No, he just talks this way.
that is First Amendment activity that is being violated by the government. When the government offers incentives and disincentives to quash speech, this is a violation of First Amendment
How, though? What incentives? What are you talking about? Can you provide an example?
principles. In a March meeting, according to The Intercept, Laura Demlow, an FBI official, warned that the threat of subversive information on social media could undermine support for the U.S. government. Demlow, according to notes of the discussion attended by senior executives from Twitter and J.P. Morgan Chase, stressed that we need a media infrastructure that is held accountable. Now, I'll tell you that the scariest part of that particular sentence is J.P. Morgan Chase. The reason that is particularly scary is because one of the things that we have seen over the course of the last couple of years is serious talk about debanking people who disagree. So we saw during the trucker convoy protests in Canada that people who are financially supporting the truckers in any way, shape, or form saw their bank accounts frozen.
Okay, but that's Canada, dude. What are you talking about? What does that have to do with us? His voice is just that squeaky. First Amendment only applies to the government, not Twitter. Yep.
In Canada. Could JP Morgan Chase work with the government along those lines? And you say disapprove things and suddenly,
now we're going into conspiratorial realms. You'd have to prove this, my friend.
longer can bank? We've seen this, by the way, with some credit card companies who refuse to allow you to use their credit cards to purchase, say, firearms legally under the Second Amendment. And this
No. I don't think that's true. I think that what they did was that some certain credit card companies wanted to log the purchase of firearms separately in its own category. This is not the same as you cannot buy firearms with with this credit card. In fact, I'm pretty confident that's what that is. Credit card companies, firearms. Okay. Yeah, this is Ben's just straight up lying. What a Weasley little liar. Look. What a Weasley little liar. All it is that they're separating the category. Gun control, blah, 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 blah. This week, credit card companies, Visa, MasterCard, and American Express, all said that they would adopt a new code to categorize guns, categorize sales at gun shops. That's it. You are not prohibited, nor I assume that you would, nor I assume that you could be. I don't know how the laws work. I'm just speaking like from the legal standpoint. These credit card companies are not preventing you from buying the firearms with their credit card companies. They were just trying to. I don't know if this ever was deployed. All that's happening is that they're categorized in a separate code. That's it. That's it. Relax. Yeah, he's complaining about capitalism. Yeah, because this makes the credit card companies look good. Without actually having to do anything about it. Without actually having to do anything.
Of effort to cut people out of the regular modes of conversation and indeed market action. It's nefarious.
Ben's, I love a good critique of capitalism. Ben's a damn Marxist and he doesn't even know it. True. All these complaints, can just be said that it's just capitalism. Like Ben's really just angry at the fact that like businesses are doing business things for the sake of profit, because that's what their motivation is. Their motivation is profit, so they're gonna do and take actions to sustain that, and that means lobbying government. That means implementing policies that would maximize advertisers. That means implementing policies that would give them good PR and would make more people use their services and not have to do much. I mean, like, all these things are just like, it's just capitalism working as intended, right? You want these companies to make as much money. Well, that's what they're doing, Ben, unless you actually don't care. Did he get to any point yet? No, we still don't know what, we still don't know how the DHS thinks that you are dangerous. I don't know who you are, but we still haven't gotten that, nor will I think in the next couple of minutes, nor do I think we'll ever get that answer.
Yes. And it's tyrannical. And the government promoting that in the name of corporatism is really terrifying, or should be.
So capitalism.
A spokesperson for Twitter wrote in a statement
so capitalism is getting to the point where it's so authoritarian that it's essentially centralizing its control. This is in his head, of course. This is what he thinks is happening. Corporatism is getting too big. It's got control of the government and whatnot. So the problem then is capitalism is getting too big. If that's your argument, Ben, then if you think that, corporatism getting too big is the problem, meaning capitalism is too big, oh boy. Welcome to the revolution, Ben. Comrade Ben Shapiro. Thank you.
Quote, we do not coordinate with other entities when making content moderation decisions, and we independently evaluate content in line with the Twitter rules. I highly doubt that, given, again, the obvious coordination between Twitter and other social media groups when it comes to taking down various actors, some of whom I think are terrible, but it doesn't matter. You don't just get to take people down because you don't like their opinion.
It's not about just liking
There's a formalized
your opinion.
process for government officials,
like,
according...
They think that this is all, like, because of opinions and whatnot. Like, no, dude. It's just whatever makes more money, all right? You can't have, like, advertisers call you and complain about, like, people talking about lizard Democrat lizard people drinking adrenochrome. It's just not good for business, okay? Jesus Christ.
To The Intercept.
Try our starter pack. Purchase a solid stick and a cream deodorant at the regular price, and you get free wipes and a free mini body wash.
To directly flag content on Facebook or Instagram and request that it be throttled or suppressed through a special Facebook portal that requires a government or law enforcement email to use. At the time of writing, the content request system at Facebook is still live. DHS and Meta, the parent company of Facebook, did not respond to a request for comment. The FBI declined to comment. DHS's mission, according to The Intercept, to fight disinformation stemming from concerns around Russian influence in the 2016 presidential election began to take shape during the 2020 election over efforts to shape discussions around vax policy during the COVID pandemic. Documents collected by
which is also a problem, my dude. If like people are getting a bunch of misinformation, like flooding the freaking algorithm with a bunch of BS, yeah, that's a problem to health. That's a problem to health. Comrade, there we go. Yeah. All right.
Intercept from a variety of sources, including current officials and publicly available reports.
9 minutes in, Ben. We have not learned how we are dangerous.
Reveal the evolution of more active measures by DHS. According to a draft copy of DHS's quadrennial Homeland Security Review, DHS's capstone report outlining the department's strategy and priorities in the coming years, the department plans to target...
Jesus Christ. This is why, like, trying to debunk Ben Shapiro videos is so frustrating, because, like, you're expecting to, like, contend with a point that's usually... You know, when you do YouTube videos, or when you do, like, I don't know, this is just my opinion, but, like, what I try to do as a content creator, or what I hope that most people do, is when they put, like, titles like this, like, yeah, they could be a little bit clickbaity, but but when you watch the video, there's, like, a point that's very similar to this title, right? We'll get to an argument as to why the DHS thinks that you are dangerous. We've been at 9.5 minutes, and we have yet to understand what he's talking about in terms of this title. All I've learned so far in these 9.5 minutes, is that capitalism has grown too big, and it should probably be dealt with. I don't know. You know, corporatism is getting too big. Billionaires are having way too much power, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, he just drones on and on. Thank you for the 10 biddies. Try Matt Walsh video. His content is easier to understand. Nah. I have no problems understanding his content. It's just garbage. There's nothing there. I can understand his content just fine. It's just like, my critique is that he's not talking about the point of the video, and he makes all these tangential, you know, pathways that have nothing to do with anything. Besides, Matt Walsh creeps me out. Matt Walsh absolutely creeps me out. I'm good. It's bad enough to have to listen to Shapiro. This is a common YouTube tactic to generate content. They're filling time making 10-minute content that puts you in certain algorithms. That's true. That is true. You got to make sure that you hit that special mark that YouTube likes. Like I said, these people know how to work the algorithm, and yet they sit here and complain about how they're being victims. Like, come on, dude. Shut up. Shut up. You're complaining about, like, you know, or making the implication that, like, YouTube and Facebook and Twitter has all these, like, anti-conservative biases, and yet here you are, fucking master of the algorithm, having, like, how many 5.11 million subscribers. Shut up.
Quote, inaccurate information on a wide range of topics, including, quote, the origins of the COVID-19 pandemic and the efficacy of COVID-19 vaccines, racial justice, U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan, and the nature of U.S. support to Ukraine. The challenge is particularly acute in marginalized communities, the report states, which are often the targets of false or misleading information, such as false information on voting procedures targeting people of color. Now, again, look at those issues right there, that list of issues. The origins of the COVID-19 pandemic. So what exactly would be the misinformation or disinformation? I doubt that they are talking about the Chinese government promoting the idea that the Americans started COVID-19.
No. It's just about, like, not spewing out nonsense, you know? Like, dude, why is it like hard to just not lie? Is that the issue that Ben fundamentally has with this you know, it's just that, like, he has a problem with telling the truth, so that's why he has an issue with this.
I guess that it has much more to do with the probably true allegation by Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas that this thing was a leak from the Wuhan lab.
That's an allegation by a senator from Arkansas who, I would like to remind the audience watching, is not A, an infectious disease expert, B, a expert in any way, shape, or form when it comes to viruses, has never worked in a lab before, has no idea of anything. So I guess we're just gonna accept his quote allegations. Allegations, please don't sue me. Okay, whatever, Ben.
How about the efficacy of COVID-19 vaccines? For most of the last 2 years, you could be banned on social media for suggesting that the vaccines, while effective in preventing death and serious disease among older people, might have some negative side effects for younger people and did not prevent transmission.
It does, though. Like, just because, like, the vaccine doesn't, like, give you, like, God immunity doesn't mean it doesn't have some efficacy when it comes to the stopping of transmission within the first whatever period of time. It's like you have a window, much like when you get COVID, you have a window of immunity where basically for the next couple of months, XY months depending, you are pretty much good, and that's the whole point to the vaccine. And yes, it's also to prevent severe disease and death. Like, this wasn't sold to us in any other way by, like, actual scientists and whatnot. This wasn't sold to us in any other way except that. That's what I heard from the beginning. So, I don't know, dude. Whatever.
In fact, it's quite possible that this particular segment of today's show will be cut from YouTube.
It won't, because we're watching it on YouTube. Like, desperate to be the victim. Jesus Christ.
Racial justice. Like, what exactly about racial justice would have to be throttled? Do you think that it would be people saying that it is not disproportionate arrest statistics to actual criminal activity? Do you think that that's what they would throttle? Or do you, like, what do you think they would throttle? They would throttle every conservative position. U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan? What is the misinformation associated with that? The answer...
And furthermore, can we get a link to that Intercept article? Because Ben doesn't put any links on his sources. Because I would like to scrutinize that article too. Because I have a feeling some of these things are being misrepresented. Is there a way we can find this article? Jesus Christ. The fact that we have to, like, look for this. DHS... whatever. Leak? I don't know. So right now, the only thing that we have, like, in the opening salvo of this, are memos, emails, and documents, not policies that are actively happening. And, like, how does anyone watch this and get anything from it? I don't know. So it's like a bunch of nothing other than, yeah, we should probably be aware that the government, you know, a spy apparatus is alive and well, and that social media companies are huge. Because capitalism. That's the only thing we should take away from this article. If you want to read it yourselves, unlike Ben, I actually went and looked it up, and you can read it yourselves.
of course, is that there is no misinformation associated with U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan. It was horrifying. And of course, DHS is trying to crack down on the dissemination of this information. This is why it's very dangerous to give government this much power. According to The Intercept, how disinformation is defined by the government has not been clearly articulated. The inherently subjective nature of what constitutes disinformation provides a broad opening for DHS officials to make politically motivated determinations about what constitutes dangerous speech. DHS justifies these goals, which have expanded far beyond its original purview on foreign threats to encompass disinformation originating domestically by claiming terrorist threats can be, quote, exacerbated by misinformation and disinformation spread online.
That's
As a
true,
laudable
though.
goal of protecting Americans from danger.
Wait, that's true, dude. Do you see how many, like, right-wing, like, far-right extremists have gone on, like, terrorist sprees because of this? What? What did you think that these, like, far-right lunatics, that have come out of the woodwork, how did you think they came about? For, like, accepting wild conspiracy theories that they found online using, you, Ben. Using you as a pipeline. You're part of it. All right? You're part of it. The Intercept is legit. I like them. Yeah, sometimes they have good stuff. But this isn't nearly enough. This isn't nearly the picture that Ben is painting. I mean, you can read it yourselves.
Has often been used to conceal political maneuvering. So again, the simple fact that these insane DHS regulations are designed to pressure social media.
But there's no regulations, Ben. What regulations? Can you cite them? No, they don't exist. In this article, it's not there. There's no regulations that are being named, dude. Literally, the title says leaked documents outline DHS's plan to police disinformation. Doesn't mean that they already are doing anything, nor does it point to any actual regulations being, put in place.
On issues of great public import, it should be incredibly scary. Alrighty, guys, the rest of the show is continuing now. You're not going to want to miss it. We're going to get into the Supreme Court.
Whoa. All right. Well, thanks, Ben. You wasted almost 12 minutes of our time. All right. So basically, we learned that capitalism is too big. It's centralized itself, and it will continue to do so if not stopped. And government being too big is also a problem, so sure. Comrade Ben Shapiro, thank you. All right. We've got a few headlines to go through. Stuart Rhodes wrote message to Trump after the January 6th calling on him to save the Republic, arrest members of Congress. This kind of, to me, at the very least, tells me, or at the very least, I would start to ask questions as to how close the ties to these Oath Keepers and Trump really are. Clearly, he thinks there was clearly he had a direct line to the president, which is unbelievable. And to go as far as message him is wild. But before we get started on this, if you guys have a moment and would like to help out the channel, head on over to the YouTube channel and click the big red subscribe button. It really does help us out. And spread the word far and wide that this is the chillest place to be for the news, for the politics, Monday through Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Oath Keepers founder Stuart Rhodes wrote a message intended for former President Trump in the days after the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol, the insurrection, calling upon Trump to invoke the Insurrection Act to stay in power and arrest members of Congress. If you don't, then Biden, Kamala will turn all that power on you, your family, and all of us. You and your family will be imprisoned and killed, Rhodes wrote in a message presented to court on Wednesday. You and your children will die in prison. The message, which also called for Trump to have members of Congress and state legislators arrested, was not delivered to the then president. That is wild. Jason Alpers, a government witness in the Oath Keepers' seditious conspiracy trial, testified about the message on Wednesday. Alpers said he had a recording device in his pocket that was disguised as a thumb drive when he met Rhodes on January 10th, just a few days after the January 6th insurrection. Alpers testified that he was not working on behalf of a federal law enforcement agency when he made the recording. The meeting took place in a parking lot of an electronics store in Texas, and the audio Rhodes can be heard asking others at the meeting to get rid of your phones, and Alpers testified that everyone put their phones in the car to make the meeting more secure. Alpers, the owner of a software development company and a former special operations operator who deployed overseas, said that he started communicating with the FBI months after the attack on the Capitol and his meeting with Rhodes. Alpers testified on the stand that he had connections to Trump's inner circle, and he said he could get a message to Trump indirectly. When he met with Rhodes on January 10th, he had Rhodes type a message intended for Trump on his phone. Alpers ultimately did not send this message to Trump or any of Trump's associates. "You must do as Lincoln did," Rhodes wrote in a message. He arrested congressmen and legislators and issued a warrant for SCOTUS Chief Justice Taney. Take a man like Washington would go down in history as a savior of the Republic, not a man who surrendered it. Jesus Christ. I'm here for you, and so are all my men. We will come help you if you need us, military and police, and we will also, and so will your millions of supporters. That's a scary shit. That's a scary scenario to imagine, where you have these people who are paramilitary, like militias and whatnot, violent domestic terrorists, basically having access via proxy to the president of the United States. Can you imagine if this was the case for Joe Biden? Can you imagine if there was like some kind of, I don't know, weird left-wing militia? I don't know. They think that Biden's like some kind of communist, so whatever. We'll use that as an example. Because to conservatives, like, you know, it's been drilled into their heads that no matter what, you know, if they've got a D next to them, then they're like, you know, a communist or whatever. Can you imagine if like Biden had like revolutionary militias like being able to reach him via proxy? Can you imagine like what the outrage and uproar would be? That's just unheard of. That's just unheard of. And should deeply disturb people. The president of the United States at the time had basically was a skip and a hop from receiving a message that he would have all the support that he would need to then say, like, F it, you know, since that soft coup didn't work, I have all the, you know, people on my side. F it. Let these guys loose. That's a scary thought. That's a scary thought, folks. Alper said that he disagreed with the path Rhodes was laying out, so he did not send the message. The reason why a more violent coup did not happen. And what I mean by more violent, meaning like, these people would deploy their rapid defense forces, or whatever they called them, with firearms and rifles and whatnot, millions of them, of supporters marching as well as these militia people full of military and police. Hey yo, a difficult search? True. Welcome, Maple Leaf Dragon. Yeah, referencing my YouTube woes. Where's my YouTube video, Ben? Huh? Where's my YouTube video on how YouTube and Twitter and these social media platforms are silencing lefties? Huh? Where's my YouTube video? Why don't I get a video, Ben? Explain that one to me. That's the real question that I want to know. So as I was saying, this didn't escalate because one dude who had access to Trump's inner circle that could get him this message decided that he did not want, he didn't agree with the path that this dude was laying out. It was too much for him. That's how lucky or how close this could have gone so much worse. Unfreaking believable. If you want to help my YouTube woes, just keep subscribing to the channel, to the YouTube channel. It would have wrapped me into agreeing with that ideology in some way, which I did not. I did not want to get myself involved. I didn't want to get involved. Rhodes and 4 other Oath Keepers, Kelly Meggs, Harrelson, Watkins, Caldwell, are currently on trial for seditious conspiracy for their actions on the January 6th insurrection. The Justice Department alleges that Rhodes and members of his organization plotted to oppose the peaceful transfer of power and stockpiled guns in a quick reaction force outside of DC, which is true. There are communications and evidence of them spending tens of thousands of dollars to obtain these rifles and ammunition and whatnot to be stashed around the area that could be brought into the city at a moment's notice. And again, a skip and a hop from this dude. If this dude would have been on board, Alpers or whatever his name is, if this guy was on board and would have done, if would have sent in the signal, that's exactly what we would have seen that day. That's exactly what we would have seen. Because you best believe that, Trump would never... Trump is not a leader. But if somebody passed him a message that said, "We're with you, just give the word," he probably could have just said it and walked away. Lit the gasoline and walked away. Other members of the alleged conspiracy will go on trial in November. Prosecutors on Wednesday also played some recordings of Rhodes that Alpers captured, including audio of the Oath Keepers founder talking about civil war in the wake of the January 6th insurrection. The fight's coming, and I'm not giving I'm not effing living on my knees, no effing way. We're just the tip of the iceberg. There's millions of others that feel the same way about this shit that we do. How does he want to go down in history? He'll go down in history as the greatest president since George Washington if he does the right thing. Jesus Christ. Rhodes says the recording is that his only regret about January 6th was that they didn't bring firearms with them. We should have brought rifles. We could have fixed it right then and there. I'd hang effing Pelosi from the lamppost. Again, like, to think that this is just some kind of like, some people just got a little bit riled up and whatnot. No, it wasn't. It wasn't just that. And people were seriously in threat of being harmed, right? Like, if these violent domestic terrorists got a hold of Nancy Pelosi or whoever it was that they were targeting, because they were targeting. You could see it in the videos. It's all there. There's like hundreds of hours of footage that you could watch asking where's Nancy, threatening them. You best believe that if they got their hands on Nancy Pelosi or any of the other names that they've called out, I mean, they literally built a gallows for the vice president at the time, that they would have seriously harmed them. Absolutely. Oathkeeper's general counsel, Sorrell, previously told NBC News that Rhodes was asking for her Trump world contacts in the weeks leading up to the January 6th insurrection. As NBC News has previously reported, Sorrell was in touch with Andrew Giuliani, a Trump White House official, and the son of Rudy Giuliani. Jesus Christ. Like, just more and more connections that are pretty much a skip and a hop away from the president himself. This is just wild, folks. I mean, just take a second to take that in. Multiple connections to, like, Trump's inner circle. This is wild. Sorrell, who had a relationship with Rhodes, was charged in connection with the January 6th insurrection in September and pleaded not guilty. The government indicated on Wednesday that prosecutors would present two more witnesses, both FBI special agents, before resting their case. I disagree. Trump is a great leader. He's also super corrupt and sociopathic, white supremacist, authoritarian, greedy, and a thug leader. Yeah, you think so? I don't know. He comes off to me as a coward. Like, he would never get his hands dirty. He would never actually do any of this. He would never get himself dirty. That's for other people to do. I don't know. I guess I have different, like, his following proves he's a great leader. No doubt that he has a huge cult-like personality and, like, a huge, like, a big enough following to make a difference. A big enough following to be a problem. I'm just saying, like, he would never lead any of these people personally. Even on the January 6th, he said that he would meet them there, and he never did. He pieced out, or he went some other way. Like, what I'm trying to say is, like, I don't know, like, he wouldn't be like what these people think he is, right? He was like, oh, you need to be a Lincoln, you need to be a George Washington. Yeah, right. Supposedly he tried, though. Maybe was that the Secret Service steering wheel Monkasteer allegation? Maybe. I could be misjudging. Do I even have Monkasteer? Hold on. No? Nope. I guess I don't. Oathkeeper members James, Ulrich, Wilson all pleaded guilty to seditious conspiracy. Several other Oathkeepers have pleaded guilty to other charges, including two Oathkeepers, Dolan and Young, who testified in the trial. Dolan testified he was prepared to die. Oh, Jesus. to keep Trump in office. Imagine you preparing to die over a lie, over someone who doesn't give a shit about you. Amazing. While Young testified he was acting like a traitor on January 6th, Owen testified that he was hoping to scare members of Congress. I wanted them to be afraid of me. If they weren't going to, in my perspective, do the right thing, maybe they could be scared into doing the right thing. But like, that's not how this works, my dude. Okay. Domestic terrorism is not how that works. Anyways, we'll keep following these trials as they keep going. Any updates, we'll always report on it. Speaking of which, Trump lawyers saw Justice Thomas as the only chance to stop the 2020 election certification. What was that about the integrity of the Supreme Court? What was that about the integrity of the Supreme Court again? Yeah. Talk to me about the integrity of the Supreme Court after this story. I just had to take my dog out. I'm not ready for snow. Jeez. I hope you're alright. Donald Trump's attorney saw a direct appeal to Supreme Court Justice Thomas as their best hope for derailing Joe Biden's win in the 2020 presidential election. According, it's snowing right now. I'm pretty good too. Sheesh. According to new emails disclosed to congressional investigators. We want to frame things so that Thomas could be the one to issue some sort of stay or other circuit justice opinion saying Georgia is in legitimate doubt. Trump attorney Kenneth Chesebro wrote in December 31st of 2020 email to Trump's legal team. Chesebro contended that Thomas could be our only chance to get a favorable judicial opinion by January 6th, which might hold up the Georgia count in Congress, which is all they need to sow the doubt of the elections. At least you can get revenge by having your dog pee in the snow. Yeah, you showed that snow. I think I agree with this, Attorney John Eastman replied later that morning, suggesting that a favorable move by Thomas or other justices would kick the Georgia legislature into gear to help overturn these results. Jesus Christ. Man, if you would have heard this coming from like the Democratic Party, sheesh. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Eastman is the worst. Yeah, I mean, these people were legitimately trying to overturn the 2020 elections in multiple schemes across multiple states. That's just what's so mind-blowing about this thing. Till this day, I continue to be mind-blown. The fact that this isn't like the biggest story is that like the Republican Party, like not just like some, a lot, enough to confidently say there was coordination between different states, you know, the Republican parties in different states in an attempt to overturn the legitimate election of 2020. This is just wild. This is just wild. This would be like effectively like GG. If people understood this, like this would effectively be like GG, but like most of these like Republicans and conservatives don't give a shit. That's what's sad. This is why I say, like, I don't think it's a hyperbolic statement to say that, like, the Republican Party is just fundamentally incompatible with democracy. It's not. Dog loves the snow and had her first time in the winter, and she's the snow. She's a Border Collie Golden Retriever mix. Nice, that's adorable. Eastman argued that Kamala Harris was not qualified to be VP because of citizenship news. She's a U.S. citizen. He's a total piece of shit. Yeah, not only is he a total piece of shit, and a racist, apparently. But he's also a big part of the scheme of one of the many schemes to attempt to overturn the 2020 election. This is just wild. This is wild. The message were part of a batch of 8 emails obtained by Politico that Eastman had sought to withhold from January 6th Select Committee, but that a judge ordered them to turn over anyways, describing them as evidence of likely crimes committed by Eastman and Trump. They were transmitted to the Select Committee by Eastman's attorney last week, but remained largely under wraps until early Wednesday morning. House General Counsel Douglas Letter acknowledged on Wednesday afternoon that his office effectively released the messages by including a link to them in copies of messages publicly filed with the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. We are not aware if the links in Dr. Eastman's email remained active and had no intention to provide this type of public access to the materials at this stage. Providing public access to this material at this point was purely inadvertent on our part. The emails, as produced to the committee, included formatting errors that removed I's and I's, lowercase i's, and, well, capitalized I's. Politico has included the missing letters for clarity. Oh, here it is. Wow. This is wild. The fact that this isn't like the biggest story is just wild to me, at least when it comes to politics and electoral politics anyways. Give me 1 second, folks. I need to blow my nose. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Republicans are just government-paid PR interns for special interests. Corporations, the problem is, so are most Democrats. Oh yeah. That's a fair point. But it just still blows my mind that, like, yeah, sure. Corruption is not new. It is not unique to the Republican Party, right? Corruption is not just Republicans. I'm just saying, it is just wild that, like, this is the first time, I think, in the history of this country where you've seen something like this, right? I mean, you could argue that maybe this is because of, like, the technology that is available today, the way, whatnot, that this was possible. But, like, can anybody tell me of a time where there was such a coordination between a party to overturn an election like this, to the point where having, like, direct contact between legal teams and seeing and acknowledging the possible wedge they have with a Supreme Court justice, chat? That's just wild. It just blows my mind. Thomas is the justice assigned to handle emergency matters arising out of Georgia and would have had been the one to receive any urgent appeal of Trump's lawsuit to the Supreme Court. A fact that seemed to be part of the Trump's calculus. Right. That's just wild. Yeah, but even Bush v. Gore, like, even then, it was at least arbitrated. It was a different scenario, right? But, like, having lawyers make the calculus of a Supreme Court justice that they could lean on and hopefully get a stay on completely bullshit lawsuits in multiple states where Republicans had to coordinate and shoehorn fake electors to try to overturn the results? I've never seen that before. Bush v. Gore was a case of expert lawyering by the Republicans in a compliant court. Yeah, but this is beyond that. This is past like expert lawyering. This is an active like attempt to subvert the results of an election. The end of the council for unity. Yeah, maybe so, and maybe that's like as close as an example. But like to my recollection, I know to me the 2000 election is like, you know, way. I was what, 10? I was 10, so I was very young. But man, this is different. This is way different. This doesn't even come close. Like, to the idea that you could shoehorn fake electors in an attempt to is just mind baffling. 2000 showed them that it was possible. Well, that's a good point. Recall the Brooksville riot directed at ballot counting in 2000. Nope. I don't. Unfortunately. But maybe you're right, Maple Leaf Dragon. Maybe you're right. Maybe this, you know, case in 2000 just showed them that it was possible. And if the right circumstances, should, you know, align themselves, that, you know, they could do something even wilder. And, well, they almost did. They almost did. Man, that's some scary thoughts. Like, and I guess the next question that I would have is well, what are these, how's it going to look in 2024? That's scary. That's very scary. Rulings from the so-called circuit justices are typically stopgap measures aimed at preserving the status quo until the full Supreme Court weighs in. But the Trump lawyer hoped a favorable order from Thomas would embolden state GOP-controlled legislators, Congress, or then Vice President Mike Pence to block final certifications, certifying Joe Biden's victory. Yeah, with a complete lack of understanding of how this works, but nonetheless, they tried. If we can just get this case pending before the Supreme Court by January 5th, ideally with something positive written by the judge or justice, hopefully Thomas, I think that's our best shot at holding up the count in the state Congress. Jesus Christ. Mayhem hippie. Howdy. Losing your voice? Yeah, my voice is shot because I'm feeling a bit sick. I was much worse yesterday. Yesterday I barely got through. But I woke up feeling much better. But yeah, my voice is a little bit shot, and I'm also trying not to use it as much. I'm trying to be as quiet as possible as well, just to, you know, save it. How's it going? Welcome, everybody. Welcome, folks. I wonder if Thomas is going to take offense at this plan. Yeah, okay. A Supreme Court with no ethics, he doesn't have to. In fact, probably his best course of action is to say nothing. But, you know, unbelievable that you can't question the integrity of the Supreme Court when articles like this, and like not just articles from like, you know, not just articles, with receipts, with emails, with communications. Like, come on, dude. The difference now is that public is brainwashed into being somewhat compliant of overturning election to propagandize to believe that Democrats are demons. True. Incarnate, and anyone who even remotely agrees with them is accountable, no matter how incompetent, greedy, or corrupt. Yep, that's definitely part of, like, you know, the conservative, like, ethos, right? It's just like, you know, it's the whole point as to why no matter what they, no matter what policies they put forward, no matter what slogans, no matter what campaigns they run, Democrats are always communists, always, no matter what. And yeah, it kind of plays into that. It kind of plays into what you're saying. Chesbro's emails continued to offer detailed strategy proposals about ways to delegitimize Biden's victory on January 6th and beyond. Like, again, these aren't conspiracy theories. These are well documented emails that you can read for yourself that are, available. And the fact that, like, people still would refuse to believe this is just wild. In one scenario, Chesbro proposed encouraging Senate Republicans to filibuster long enough to delay the joint session of Congress on January 6th, ignoring limitations on length of debate. He also described how Trump allies could use an action by the courts to build political pressure against Biden's inauguration. Republicans are like an abusive spouse we can't leave. True. Hard to have enormous optimism about what will happen on January 6th, but a lot can happen in 13 days left until then. I think having as many states still under review, both judicially and in state legislators, as possible is ideal. Again, this is not whether or not these cases have merit. It's whether or not they can paint the picture that something's not quite right with the results. And that alone will be used as a way of appealing to the public by saying, like, yeah, this election is bullshit. Wouldn't it be nice if we could just ghost them and be done with it? I wish it was like that. I wish that was like a possibility of a solution. May 100th, Raffensperger's bloom. It's so sad that, like, that was so close. Again, there's, like, certain key players that just said no. And because of that, like, we managed to, like, avoid a complete catastrophe. Like, just like using that other story as an example. If that guy from the Oath Keepers decided that he was going to pass that message along to Trump's, like, inner circle, Jesus. Just wrote Trump attorney Justin Clark, Trump campaign attorney Justin Clark, on December 24th of 2020. It's unclear how or whether Clark responded to Chesbro's message. The New York-based lawyer has been scrutinized by the January 6th Select Committee, as well as prosecutors in the Fulton County, Georgia, who are investigating Trump's effort to subvert the election there. The Trump team found virtually no traction at the High Court. The only outward signs of dissension among the justices were mild, like a December 11th order, where the court rejected a bid by Texas to challenge the vote counts in 4 other states. Thomas and Alito issued a brief statement saying that they had accepted the jurisdiction over the case, but joined the other justices in denying Texas any relief. Eastman, an architect of Trump's last-ditch bid to subvert the election, once clerked for Thomas and has corresponded with his wife in the weeks before January 6th. Well, that's news to me. The fact that this guy clerked for Thomas and then was like, yeah, dude, this guy's are in. has corresponded with his wife, who again, what, we're supposed to believe that there's no conflict of interest here? Yeah, okay. And then, like, we're supposed to believe that, like, by pure coincidence, like, Justice Thomas being the only dissenting justice when it came to, dissenting against, like, releasing records that had his wife involved to the January 6th committee, like, all of this is just supposed to be a coincidence? Yeah, okay. Sure. Whatever. Eastman played a central role in pressuring Pence to single-handedly subvert the 2020 election when he presided over the January 6th session of Congress, a legally required proceeding to count the electoral votes and certify the election results. Again, largely ceremonial, but, you know. In his conversations with Pence, with Pence's staff on January 4th and 5th, Eastman suggested that he believed Thomas would likely support their efforts. Eastman's emails, which he had fought to keep from the select committee, which for obvious reasons, have yielded some of the most potent evidence against Trump's team, including a March 28 ruling from a federal judge declaring it likely that Trump and Eastman had criminally conspired to subvert the election. Oof. Federal prosecutors have also scrutinized Eastman, who pleaded the fifth in testimony to the January 6th panel. FBI agents seized Eastman's phone in June as part of a wide-ranging investigation related to Trump's efforts by Trump allies to undermine the election results. Ginny Thomas became the focus of congressional investigators after text messages emerged showing her urging Trump Chief of Staff Mark Meadows to continue the efforts to keep Trump in power despite losing the 2020 election. She had interviewed with the January 6th panel earlier in this fall. The emails also shed light on an effort to get Trump to sign documents connected to the December 31st of 2020 federal lawsuit challenging the results in Georgia, including acute concerns Trump's lawyers voiced during that chaotic period that Trump might put himself in legal jeopardy if he attested to the voter fraud data contained in it. Yikes. I have no doubt that an aggressive DA or U.S. attorney someplace will go after both the president and some of his lawyers once all this dust settles in. They hate Jesus. Wow. They knew that they effed up, or at least someone is going to take the blame, and it's not going to be, you know, as long as it's not him, or as long as it's not, you know, this dude or Trump holding the hot potato, I guess it's okay, right? Whoever takes the L, right? Wrote in an email to two other private attorneys working on Trump's election challenges, Kaufman and Hilbert. After some exchanges, including with Trump White House lawyer Eric Hirschman, lawyers agreed that they would remove some of the specific figures before Trump swore to the accuracy of the lawsuit. Jesus. They also debated. So, like, again, he can't have testified. Why can't he have testified this legally under oath? Why? Perhaps because it isn't true, and he would be swearing to something that is a lie. Thus, you can come to the conclusion that maybe, you know, all this is based on a bunch of BS, and these clowns have been following, you know, Trump, on the basis of a lie. Trump can't get any lawyers, and when he does, he doesn't pay them. Given how I feel about both Trump and lawyers, it makes me happy. Yeah. They also debated whether federal complaints should be incorporated by reference to voter fraud data, including earlier state lawsuit. Eastman warned that since the state lawsuit was filed, evidence had disproved some of the voter fraud data contained in it. Having Trump point to it would be erroneous. So, like, they knew. They knew. And they're going to continue to talk about, like, you know, numerous attempts to see about how inserting this without verification. President Biden's about to speak. Well, I guess I'll be just in time because I gotta get going soon. Trump's signature was a key to U.S. District Court Judge David Carter's October 19th ruling that the emails must be disclosed to the January 6th committee. Carter said Trump signed the verification to a federal court complaint under penalty of perjury despite evidence that he's been told many of the fraud claims were inaccurate. So he knew. I'm still at work and just listening to your soothing voice read the news. Well, I appreciate that. Although I don't know, how soothing my voice is at this point, but I'm glad. Sorry, my voice is a little bit hoarse, but I think the people who matter are well aware that Trump committed a crime. We just don't know how to deal with the rogue president yet. Yeah, we should deal with a rogue president in the way that we would deal with anybody else who committed a crime, right? Yeah, dude, these investigations need to happen. And as the evidence continues to point, if indictments are needed to be done, so be it. I don't give a flying F if he's the president or not, right? The emails must be disclosed. The messages show that President Trump knew that the specific numbers of voter fraud were wrong, but continued to tout these numbers both in court and to the public. So, yeah, he knew. He knew that he was, these things were wrong. He knew that he was lying. He knew that he was manipulating the numbers and whatnot. And yet, still, people follow this guy. And yet, still, people, believe this. This is just wild. Scary, scary stuff, I tell you. Scary, scary stuff. To think that, man, if just one of these people decided to, if a couple of people, or I should say maybe I'll say it this way, if the right people decided to play ball, this could have been so much worse. This could have been so much worse. If the right people decided to play ball, this could have been so much worse. So basically, TLDR is we're lucky as all hell. All right, folks. Because Trump got out to a rally, Trump admits and concedes his 2020 election. Yep. We didn't even arrest the president of the Confederacy after the war. I don't see us prosecuting Trump, sadly. Yep. We'll see. It would be shocking. I would be surprised if he got indicted. In a just, scenario, if enough evidence continues to pile up, he should be indicted. Judge orders armed group away from Arizona ballot drop boxes. A federal judge, I'm going to speed run through this because I don't have that much time. A federal judge on Tuesday ordered armed members of groups monitoring ballot drop boxes in Arizona to stay 250 feet away from the locations following complaints that people wearing masks and carrying guns were intimidating voters. Yeah, these are called domestic terrorists. These are called domestic terrorists. If you're out there intimidating, with guns and whatnot near ballot boxes with the explicit, obviously, right? If you're out there patrolling the ballot boxes with guns, we can deduce that you're doing so in an intimidating manner. And intimidation, this is literally the definition of terrorists, right? To do this for political aims, is the literal definition of terrorism. Oh yeah, I saw that link, Galio. I just don't have time to go over all of this. For today, anyways. The unlawful use of violence and intimidation, especially against civilians, in the pursuit of political aims. That seems about right here. U.S. District Judge said members of the Clean Elections, which is a right-wing conspiracy theory group about election fraud, its leader and anyone working with them are also barred from filming or following anyone within 75 feet of a ballot drop box or entrance. And this is all basically the only reason this is happening is because of people like Dinesh D'Souza, who made the film 2000 Mules. This is the only reason. This is why it's happening. And then you wonder why, platforms are considering rules about misinformation and whatnot. Because when it gets to this level where you have like armed people following voters and whatnot. I thought terrorism was when we kick right wingers off Twitter. True, that is the prime. Sorry, that's the alternate definition. I apologize. I wasn't using the alternate definition. But yeah, this only happens because people like Dinesh D'Souza decided that they were going to use their quote, and I use these words in a meme, but using their quote free speech to essentially do stochastic terrorism. But yeah, and the fact that like this had to be done by a judge is like wild to me. It is paramount that we balance the rights of the defendant to engage in their constitutionally protected First Amendment activity with the entrance into plaintiffs and in voters casting a vote free of harassment and intimidation. Yeah. So, armed domestic terrorists had to be told that they need to, stay away and not follow people, not harass people. 250 feet or 75, I think, or the other ones, whatnot. All in the name of like election integrity, and all it based on a lie. All based on a lie. Wild. Well, folks, this one is going to be a quick one. Trigger warning, this one's a tough story, folks. So I'm going to try to run through this one. This is going to be a tough story. Medical report finds that Porter Burks was shot 19 times by Detroit police. So these assholes were called over for a wellness check because there was a young person who was called because of mental health. If an illegal ballot is placed in a job box, yeah, exactly. They'll find it. It's okay. We don't need armed, domestic terrorists patrolling. We'll be fine. So these assholes decided that they were going to answer a call for a mental health check, and decided that their response, the end result of this, were to shoot this young person 19 fucking times. Excuse me. He was hit 19 times. They actually shot him 38 times. Or they shot at him 38 times. 38 times, folks. Cassini, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. Because of a pocket knife. Because of a pocket knife. Knowing the situation. Knowing the situation because they were called, because it was a mental health check. Knowing the situation. This is the end response. Yes, in this iteration, this just needs to be. This is wild. This is freaking unbelievable. This is completely unfreaking believable. It's like you call these people because you think that they're going to help your family or your friends or whatever, because you know somebody that's going through some mental health issues, and you think that you need to call somebody to get help, and then this happens. This is unexcusable. This is gross. This is disgusting. This is abhorrent. 5 officers. So think about that. 5 officers discharged 38 rounds. Think about it. Like, if you know anything a little bit about guns, like 38 rounds. Freaking believable. And this is disgusting, and as a mentally struggling individual, it's terrifying. Yeah, because, like, you know, if somebody's having, you know, these kind of issues, and you like, people like normies or people that, you know, they're thinking they're trying to help, right? And you call the people you think they're gonna help, and this shit happens. Yeah, that's right. About a woman who called 911 because she was worried her autistic son was going to hurt himself, and cops immediately murdered him when they showed up. Yeah. This is neither the first nor the last story we'll hear about it, unless something changes. Unless we can reimagine what policing is, and unless we can take the step forward and reorganize this. This is just unacceptable, and it's going to keep happening, because there's no real attempt to address any of this. This is horrible. This is horrifying and should be terrifying. Yeah. Well, that's sad. The fact that that's true is sad, Michael Hasser. The fact that this is like nothing new, nor will it be the first or last story that we're gonna have to hear about this. It's still, it has to be talked about each time. It's just wild to me. It's really bad. It's really bad. Well, not exactly the way the last article, not exactly the way I wanted to end stream, because that was pretty rough. Jesus Christ.
OMG.
Do you find homosexuality?
Hey!
OMG. I don't know what to do. What are you doing?
That's so cute.
Where's your mama? Huh?
Isn't that cute?
Where's your mama at? You're so cute.
I just got this random suggestion for a baby deer. A baby fawn.
Your mama come back for you. Oh, no. Are you reading the scripture? Huh? Where's your mama at? Your ears aren't curled, so I'm not gonna mess with you. You stay cool right there, mama. Be back. Oh, no.
We are only just starting to escape propaganda and cop buddy entertainment. I have faith, but it will take more time. Yeah. Anyways, I think that baby deer is cute, and that's a good way to end stream, because that was just too much. That was just too much. Well, Night Carlos and chat, thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate that, folks. Deer frequently leave their kids somewhere while they go do stuff, so if you see a baby deer, it's probably not abandoned. True, leave it alone. That's true. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for hanging out. And of course, if you guys enjoy the content, hit the follow button on your way out. Thank you, Cassini, for that follow. Thank you for the biddies. Thank you for the subs. I appreciate you guys. And while you're at it, if you guys have 5 seconds, hit the big red subscribe button on the YouTube. It really does help us out. Spread the word far and wide. We're here Monday through Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Thanks for the stream. Thank you for hanging out. Appreciate it. We're here Monday through Friday. Monday through Friday. Monday through Thursday. Tomorrow. Tomorrow. 5 p.m. Eastern Time. As always, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. See ya. Hang tight, folks. We are heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See ya.